Alright, hello again. Let me go ahead and do a post this time on the technical categories under consideration this year for movies. I'll go ahead and do a quick caveat in that I have very little training, actually I guess no real training when it comes to like graphic design and film editing and things like that. So people who actually do that for a living or even for a hobby will have probably be able to look at me and go, well, man, you don't know what you're talking about. But I would say compared to the average person, I'm pretty good on those. So I'm going to keep these kind of brief, but give my picks for what should get visual effects, sound effects editing, sound mixing, and the film editing. I knew I'd had it there. And I will go ahead and say one thing I do feel qualified to say is that I do think it is a crying shame that the Oscars are not more even in their choosing of nominees. I realize that each category has its own criteria, and it's good to have them fairly stringent because you want the Oscars to be good. But as I believe I pointed out in the first post, you don't want to be giving Oscars to movies that don't deserve it just because they don't really have competition. So it would be good to give the movies more competition, give the voters more to choose from. So try to have 5 in each of these categories instead of the usual 3 in some or 2 occasionally. It'd be nice if we could count on 5. Definitely not 2 in anything. But anyway, first one, visual effects. I do feel qualified in saying that Avatar probably set the bar for the next several years for visual effects. So yes, that needs a nomination. It's currently my pick for the win. I think The Lovely Bones, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince both had incredible use of visual effects. Where the Wild Things Are, not as noticeable, but they are there. The film is a very well managed use of visual effects. Currently it's iffy on the number 5. I have Watchmen in number 5, but Terminator Salvation might deserve that spot too. Both of them very, very high quality movies. Funny side note though, I looked up these movies, and if I recall correctly, The Lovely Bones was not eligible for this award. Or at least it was not on the short list or something. Huh? I'm sorry, that is my only response. Huh? That is a movie that is so effects driven, and the effects are gorgeous, and in any other year it would probably be my top pick. Why is it not on the short list? Go figure. Again, you people who actually do that sort of thing for a living might be able to tell me. I'd like to know. But anyway, the other ones that I think are really strong this year, District 9, very strong. Star Trek. The Hurt Locker wasn't on the list either. I'm not sure if that falls into that gray area where I'm not sure where visual effects end and actual props and whatever begin. It could be. Maybe there weren't enough effects in the movie, but I can tell you it was convincing, so I put it on the list. I'm also not sure exactly how animated features, how that factors in. My guess is visual effects is currently the closest thing to graphic design and animation design. So I have 9 and Coraline on my list here as maybe end up, and the Fantastic Mr. Fox. I have them on my list. Monsters vs. Aliens, maybe they should be on the list, maybe they shouldn't, I'm not sure, but they're there. I chose a few kind of odd ones, like The Men Who Stare at Goats and Sherlock Holmes. And I have to say, given its shoestring budget, the effects in Paranormal Activity were impressive. X-Men Origins Wolverine had good effects. Zombieland, Inglourious Bastards, there was some decent stuff there. Jennifer's Body had some decent stuff, some cheesy stuff, but some decent stuff too. Same thing with G-Force, really. Public Enemies, again, it's in that gray area where I'm not sure if it's visual effects, but I put it on the list anyway. Land of the Lost had some cheesy visual effects, but it had some fun ones too, and it definitely took some skill. And then I had Hangover and Julie and Julia. I can't remember exactly why I picked those, but anyway, they're on there. With the sound ones, this is one where I really am not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert, but I think I know enough to recognize really good sound mixing and editing. Inglourious Bastards, Avatar, Where the Wild Things Are, The Hurt Locker, A Serious Man, The Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Paranormal Activity all, in my opinion, had very impressive sound mixing. And I would say the same thing for sound effects editing for Avatar, Inglourious Bastards, Where the Wild Things Are, The Hurt Locker, The Fantastic Mr. Fox, Paranormal Activity, and A Serious Man. There's a few others that are worthy of note. District 9, Up. Actually, I think most of the animated ones probably should rate higher. I don't have the experience with animation. But Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Lovely Bones, several of these. So I'm not even going to go through the full list because there's so many possibilities, and I'm not really in the best position to comment on the specifics. But that leaves one more of the technical ones, which is the film editing. And that one, again, people who actually work in film have a better idea. But I can say that my picks, The Fantastic Mr. Fox, Coraline, The Inglourious Bastards, Serious Man, and Up in the Air, all had extremely impressive editing. Extremely impressive. That is one that shows up enough on the screen that I think I can comment on it. I would also say The Informant, Up, Where the Wild Things Are, The Lovely Bones, Avatar, The Hurt Locker, Sherlock Holmes, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Los Abrazos Rotos, The Men Who Stare at Goats, and District 9 all deserve notice there. All deserve solid notice. I would also give a shout out to Away We Go, In Education, 500 Days of Summer, Invictus, Public Enemies, Star Trek, Gake no Oi no Ponyo, Funny People, The Invention of Lying, Jennifer's Body, Watchmen, Zombieland, Das Weißband, Paranormal Activity, and 9. And I'm just checking my time here. I got enough to finish that off with the ones that I just like to mention. Monsters vs. Aliens, Precious, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire, Capitalism, A Love Story, The Blind Side, X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Hangover, Land of the Lost, I Love You Man, Julie and Juliet, and Terminator Salvation. All have very good editing. I will go ahead and also throw out here, I'm definitely not a expert on the rules for Raspberry contention, but if there is a Raspberry Award for worst film editing, it goes to Blood the Last Vampire. The person who edited that film must have been some reject from a low-rated MTV series who was fired for not knowing how to cut film. And given the rep that MTV has for editing, you know what I mean. Sorry, any MTV fans out there. But Blood the Last Vampire was horribly edited, and it wasn't a great movie to begin with, but that really hurt my feeling of the movie. Anyway, next time I'll talk about the artistic awards.